When it comes to collecting, most of us prefer the smaller sized items like figures and statues that you can display on a table or shelf and enjoy from any part of the room. Of course, figures range in size from small to 1/6 or even 1/4 scale, but for the most part they're contained to a small amount of space overall. However, that might not be big enough for some people, and those people might want something larger, like a life-size statue, or better yet, a realistic prop taken right out of your favorite cartoon that is so unrealistically big you can't even store it in your house. Though there is a catch here, because with a bigger size comes a bigger price tag, and the bigger price tag means there's less potential buyers out there that would spend the money on that kind of thing. This notion gets into a series of extremely wild and strange items that Cartoon Network and Adult Swim had for sale back in the 2000s on their websites, that to this day have remained elusive in the community for what exactly the items were, and how cool it would have actually been to see these in person. The only problem is, we've never actually seen them in person, and have no idea if anyone even bought them in the first place when they were available, with few records of them having even been for sale in the first place. This is where the mystery begins with some pretty crazy items. In November 2003, 20 years ago, Cartoon Network ran a holiday promotion on their website called the Ultimate Holiday Wish List, with the tagline, "If you're gonna wish, wish big." And wow did they deliver on that, featuring a specific section on their website's shop dedicated to the biggest, craziest, and most expensive purchases you could make, with a total of 6 documented items any consumer could buy. The first one and most normal of the bunch is none other than Space Ghost's desk from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. This is a replica of the iconic desk that the character uses in his show, and it can be yours for only $40,000. If you read the description, it tells you a little bit more about the product, like how the desktop is self-illuminated, and mood lighting that is built into the overhang. The chair itself is decked out too, with a massage system and push-button adjustability. Not only that, but they also list a whole bunch of features not seen in the photo, and even use some brand names, stating, a 15-inch Philips LCD television pops up seamlessly from the desktop. A Sony Dream system supplies the built-in sound, and a mini fridge is furnished. The desk includes ports for computer hookups and AC power outlets. A cordless telephone is also provided. It actually looks really cool, and sounds like an awesome piece of memorabilia to have. But despite this, it seems to be too far out of the price point for even fans of the show. Some discussion about this item from the Toon Zone forums can be found online, mentioning how they'd laugh at anyone who spent the money on it, and even accused OP of having photoshopped the item themselves. Now, when these items have come up for discussion in the past, most people shared this feeling towards them, that they weren't actually sold and the whole thing was a joke played by Cartoon Network. While the images used are indeed mock-ups and don't show a final product, it's likely these were going to be made to order, which is why real images don't exist. This is exactly the same case for the other items being offered in this promotion, like the giant Ed, Edd and Eddy Gumball machine, the Dexter and Powerpuff Girls room makeovers, and the Harvey Birdman car, though this one does say only one will be made in the listing. But if there was ever a product from this list that was believed to be fake, it wouldn't be the desk or the chair, or even the car, and instead, it would be the real-life Kids Next Door treehouse for $1 million. Out of all these products, it's the treehouse that's become the most well-known over the years, for its ridiculousness and price tag, and was even a highlight in the Cartoon Network commercial that ran on TV for this promotion.
Everything on the Cartoon Network Ultimate Holiday Wish List. We started training, but it's not all ho-ho-ho. It's hard work. Now, Scooby-Doo movie packs, Powerpuff Girl cosmetic sets, no problem. But some of these things take 8 of us just to get in the sleigh. Yeah, just go online and buy a real made-to-order 5-room Kids Next Door treehouse.
Shop the Ultimate Holiday Wish List on CartoonNetwork.com. If you're going to wish, wish big.
According to the description from the website, it contains a gaming station, state-of-the-art entertainment center, and literally every other amenity under the sun, it says. And the commercial that advertised the treehouse specifically mentions it has 5 rooms, and was indeed made to order, so that does add more likelihood to the idea all of these were only made if someone bought them. In the old Rebel Taxi video that showed these listings off, and gave them the attention they have today, he shows more of the description for the treehouse, which gets into construction details and furnishings. But like I mentioned previously, there are no records of anyone having bought these items, despite the discussions that occurred on various forums from back when they were first put up. The Harvey Birdman car even made its way to a Volkswagen forum that apparently a lot of Adult Swim fans were using at the time, but nothing about the car was ever mentioned after that. The only records we have that relate to the acknowledgement of these items from Cartoon Network was a comment from the senior marketing director of the company, who mentioned in an interview that a few people were interested in the Kids Next Door treehouse, but funding fell through for the fact that they were 10 years old. Followed by a tweet from Adult Swim that said Space Ghost bought the desk. Both of these were collected from back a few years ago when Rebel Taxi was researching the topic. So while it does seem unlikely for these items to have been made, the craziness ramps up from here, as we look at a couple more items that are not remembered or as well known as the Cartoon Network ones. Now, you could argue that despite the high price tag of the Kids Next Door treehouse, it is a functional play area that kids would have a fun time in, or even that a $70,000 car would be cool to drive around. But meanwhile, a few years later, Adult Swim decided to revisit the ultimate holiday wishlist idea and created a couple new products of their own for potential buyers to purchase. Like I said, these are documented and discussed far less than the holiday items, and as far as I could tell, were not released as part of a holiday, promotion, or any specific reason. I guess Adult Swim just wanted to see if there were any fans big enough out there to purchase these items, and they are, without a doubt, way sillier and less useful than anything Cartoon Network was offering. In 2010, Adult Swim made a listing on their official web store for a replica death clock fountain from their show Metalocalypse. Similar to the Cartoon Network listings, this one is complete with a mock-up illustration showing the fountain in the show, rather than a physical item, and has a price tag of $40,000. The description goes really hard to sell the item, asking if you are the world's biggest Metalocalypse fan, no really, their biggest fan, and that nothing will boast your dedication to animated death metal more than this disgustingly lavish and entirely unnecessary conversation piece. Well hey, at least they acknowledge it's unnecessary. Since the photo is from the cartoon, it shows the fountain full of blood, and I was wondering if they were actually going to use some kind of fake blood substitute in place of water, which fountains usually spout, but it just says the blood isn't included, or any shipping costs. I'm sure they probably would just use water, but even so, imagine if someone bought this and actually put it in their front yard. There probably would have been some kind of local news story just about complaints from the neighbors alone. There's also a $13,000 deposit showing that you actually want to buy the item. Though contrary to the Cartoon Network items, Adult Swim does do a better job outright stating, "Seriously, this is real," in one of the bullet points, and has a separate contact page for serious inquiries. Considering the age demographic of Adult Swim fans, I'm sure they got a lot of memesters messaging them about it, only to make jokes. This is also proven by the fact that there are 39 people who left meme reviews on the item to pretend like they actually purchased it. The irony here is that if someone did buy it and left a real review, we'd never know that with all the fake ones. But then there's the item that is the most unbelievable and most pointless out of all of these attempts by Cartoon Network to make something crazy and expensive for the consumer, and that is indeed the thumbnail of this video. Imagine walking down the street, seeing a giant shadow overhead, then you look up and see Meatwad's goofy face staring back down at you. When you then proceed to ask yourself, what the heck is that? Maybe in some alternate reality that could have happened, if someone purchased the Aqua Teen Hunger Force Meatwad hot air balloon. This was posted around the same time as the Death Clock Fountain, but costs $30,000 more, for a total of $70,000. Similar to the fountain, it too has a contact page for serious inquiries only, and even directly mentions the fountain, pointing out that this balloon is even more nuts, and that's the truth. The Meatwad balloon measures 90,000 cubic feet in size, is custom made by Head Balloons Company, and comes with a piloted 1-hour ride anywhere in the US. You get to keep the balloon afterwards, but unlike the fountain, this is literally an airborne vehicle and comes with so many more liabilities that have to be addressed in the listing. It mentions that to pilot the item yourself, you need to have insurance, a license, and everything official like that. And also that you have to sign a waiver before going on the 1-hour piloted ride. Interestingly, there is no deposit on this one, but it says it's non-refundable. It's so wacky to think about buying an airborne vehicle from a TV block that airs goofy cartoons late at night, but I guess that's part of the whole meme of this. The description again alludes to the fact that you must be a huge fan with a lot of money to waste to even buy this, But apparently there were a lot of people like that back in 2010 because 10 people reviewed the balloon and their experience riding in it. Actually, there's even one reviewer who claimed to have bought 3 of them and saved money by bundling. So I guess that means there are more than 10 of these in existence, right? Next, you're gonna tell me someone proposed to their fiance in one of these. Could you imagine the story you'd have to tell your kids? But jokes aside, similar to the previous items mentioned in this video, there are no photos that we know of showing finalized or released products for these Adult Swim items that someone bought and owns. Like I said before, because these were so ridiculous and seemingly made to order, Cartoon Network and Adult Swim were not going to invest the money into a prototype or sample if they thought nobody was actually going to buy them in the first place. It's also for this reason that we can believe no physical creations for any of these products ever existed, and they're only dreams on paper. In fact, the closest confirmation we can get to that comes from Adult Swim themselves, who made a promo advertising the Meatwad balloon when the listing went up. The commercial begins by showing the Death Clock fountain and asking the viewers if they remember it, stating that of course no one would because no one bought it, and then proceeds to show the Meatwad balloon in the sky over the fountain. However, it's very possible that someone did buy one of these at one point and just never posted about it. The Ed and Eddie Gumball machine feels like it's priced reasonably low enough for someone to have bought, and even the fountain could have been used in a backyard or garden at someone's house. While these were technically limited time items and weren't available for years and years, if you look at the listings on the Wayback Machine and go to the furthest capture, the Cartoon Network items were still up in August 2004, and the Adult Swim ones could still be bought in March 2012, with new reviews having been posted in February of that year. Maybe somebody saw the promo that mentioned nobody bought the fountain, and one was bought after it aired. I guess the question really comes down to whether or not there were any big enough fans of these shows to have spent the money on memorabilia from them. Or if they did, if they have any idea that these are actually so elusive. Back when these were put up for sale, if someone had bought them, it probably wouldn't have felt like a big deal, having been long before social media and the real impact of cartoon nostalgia nowadays. There could be someone out there that has one of these in their home and just never talked about it, or thought twice to share that aspect of their childhood. Though Rebel Taxi also made a good point in his original video, that if someone did purchase one of these items, there probably would have been a whole PR event about it, complete with commercials and everything. Especially with Adult Swim, that's something so crazy I could imagine them doing. But I'm not sure if this theoretical PR would have only been for the higher priced items and not the smaller priced ones like the desk or the car, but it's something to consider. I would love to come across someone that has at least one of these items, but until that happens, their creation will remain a mystery. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out some of my other Lost Media videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Finn.